Hello and welcome to another BMW 1 Series review. This time we're in the M135i. If you haven't seen our 118 video, there'll be a link appearing about now and one in the description below. So this car sits atop of the 1 Series range in South Africa. It's the most expensive, most powerful 1 Series you can buy, and I'm not sure if I like it that much. If you're interested in a 1 Series right now, there are only two engines to choose from. The 118i has a 3-cylinder 1.5-litre turbo petrol, and if you're not interested in driving and you just like a nice car, it's absolutely perfect. But you're watching this video because you are probably interested in driving. You do probably want something that's a bit exciting to drive, that, you know, gets your fizz going. And so BMW have created this car for you, except they've kind of taken out all the things that made the top 1 Series interesting, like all of it. And so instead of a 3-litre straight 6 engine, you have a transversely mounted turbocharged 4-cylinder. Lots of power, lots of torque, 225 kilowatts, 450 newtons. That's plenty from a 2-litre. And all of that power goes through all 4 wheels through BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive system. So it's not a rear-wheel drive hot hatch anymore. It's not a 6-cylinder hot hatch anymore. It's now a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder all-wheel drive. It's basically a Golf R? I don't know, what makes it special? Why is it a BMW? I think my biggest problem with this M135i is that last week I drove the 118i M Sport, which costs 200,000 Rand less than this, and it looked better. I think it's down to the color, and I think the 118 had nicer wheels. But if I had spent over 700,000 Rand on an M135i and the person next to me in a 118 had a nicer looking car, I'd be pretty pissed. So I don't think the engine is lacking in terms of firepower. It's maybe lacking in that kind of oral excitement department where the 6-cylinder would have delivered that lovely BMW raspy voice note. But now we've got this sort of 4-pot thrum, which is not terribly interesting. But when it starts up, it has a nice burble on the downshift in sport mode. It has quite a nice overrun sound. And I could deal with it. I could put up with it. It's fine. But where this car really shines is the chassis. This new 1 Series platform is particularly good. When I drove the 118i, the fact that it was front-wheel drive didn't really bother me. And the fact that this is all-wheel drive in 90% of driving situations probably just makes it safer, and obviously it dials out all that torque steer. But why are we talking about all these things? I'm in a BMW. I don't want to be talking about dialing out torque steer. It's so boring. And I think this is kind of the issue with people who are sad about the 1 Series going all-wheel drive, ditching rear-wheel drive. You think you're going to come out to a nice twisty country road like this and that you're going to be going full sideways opposite lock through corners, drifty McDrifterson. That's not reality. In reality, you get stuck behind a tour bus and an Isuzu and you're doing 41 k's an hour. And then the fact that it's xDrive makes absolutely no difference. But I would like to drive this car a bit more enthusiastically, so let's turn around and go back down this beautiful road. In the meantime, here is a chat about the interior. If you haven't watched our new BMW 118 film, I highly recommend doing so because there's quite a detailed interior review in that video. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here because it is pretty much exactly the same. You do get some very cool lighting though on the doors and on the dashboard, which you can't really see in this light, but my editor will put in a shot now of the lighting. You can also change the color of the lighting to 6 different colors, which is pretty cool. But let me take you through the differences on the infotainment system because there is some functionality that is unique to this car. So if we go to vehicle status, No, that's not correct. If we go to driving information, here we go. Sport displays. Look at that. You can see pressure boost over there. What's it called? Turbo boost. Turbo pressure? Something like that. Oil temperature, you got a G-force meter, how many newtons you're pushing out and how many kilowatts you're developing. That's all very exciting. I'm sure you care a lot about that. And there's also something quite funny in here, which I found called Caring Car. So you can go through a revitalizing or relaxing caring car program on a long journey, which will help you relax, I suppose. Another key difference are these seats. These are the M seats, and they're pretty nice. I like them. I could get used to these actually. Very nice to look at, very nice to sit in. But other than that, pretty well put together interior. Not the most exciting interior in the segment, but it does feel really solid and really well screwed together. So I suppose I should go drive it now and see what I think. Let's do that. Let's go. So my director drove this car out to set today and he was moaning because he said every time you accelerate, the gearbox first makes a cup of coffee and then gives you the right gear. And I said to him, no, put it in sport mode. And then he said, oh. So let's put it into sport mode. Let's put it into manual. Okay, here we go. Drop this cog. Okay. Wow, there's tons of traction there. You can hold a lot of lateral G's in this car. That's quite a nice sound. This is the new 8-speed auto, good old-fashioned torque converter. We're done with dual clutch boxes now in the 1 Series. Acceleration out of the corner is really impressive actually. All that torque is available really low down. Sure. Really hammer through corners in this thing. All the confidence of X-Drive. That sound is not enough, eh? That's not enough exhaust for an M car. I know it's not a proper M car, it's an M135i, fair enough. Yeah, it's very 4-cylindery. If you're very familiar with how BMWs feel, this feels a little bit foreign. I think the reason my colleagues and I are having difficulties liking this car is because it's such a huge departure from the car it's replacing. The M140i in the previous generation was, let's be honest, a bit of a hooligan. It was pretty wild, and a lot of them ended up in ditches and insurance claims. And so this feels a lot more generic, a lot safer. In terms of, not only in terms of the fact that it's all-wheel drive now, but just safer in terms of its appeal. It's a bit more conservative. And maybe that's why we have an issue with it. It's not necessarily because it's a bad car or a boring car. It's because it's so different from the car it's replacing. You know, the thing is, my first car was a E30 320i, straight 6 manual, and even though that was a 2-litre, quite a small displacement 6-cylinder engine, there was something so lovely about the way that car sounded. There is something quite special about the sound of a straight 6, but in this modern world, it's not very PC anymore, is it? It's a bit untenable in terms of emission standards and fuel efficiency standards. And so I do understand that the people at BMW probably didn't want to go this way. You just get the feeling that they kind of made this car begrudgingly in a way. And I've met a lot of BMW engineers. They're some of the most passionate people about cars and about what they do, about their business that I've ever met in this industry in my 15 years in this job. And it just feels like this car is being built to satisfy legislation rather than to satisfy drivers. But right now, if you're looking for a super hot 1 Series, do yourself a favor, buy a second-hand M140i. That's the solution. Probably cost you less than this as well.
Did you know that we also sell really awesome car-themed merchandise? Check out our range of custom t-shirts and prints at our online store now. Simply click on the square box on your screen and we'll take you there, or the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.